The Dowerhands have forged an alliance with the Blue Crag Goblins and have laid siege to Gondamon for nearly 2 weeks. The final assault will soon be launched.
Welcome, this is Pine Leaf Needles, and this is Skirmish Timeline, where we are going to take a look at the 9 basic skirmishes, meaning the 9 non-epic skirmishes in Lotro, and I will play them through in the order in which I feel they belong in the Lotro play timeline. Now, to add a little extra challenge in this run, I'm going to run it at duo mode, though still at tier 1 to see how that works. So therefore the mobs are going to be, well, I don't know, tougher, since they are a little bit nerfed for being in duos, but they tend to be higher quality but nerfed versions. So it'll probably be about the same level of challenge, except for the parts in trying to keep the defenders alive, since the defenders aren't boosted any in this. So that will be the main challenge. Now, why run a skirmish in duo mode with a single person? Well, it's not for the marks, I can tell you that. Because if you want good marks, you're better off running it at a higher tier. That is because a duo only gives you 5% extra marks. And with only 5% extra marks, you're not going... Oh, let me get rid of that. Alright. If I've got an ability to get rid of a wound, I might as well use it to get rid of those stupid cripples, yes. But if you have all the... But if you want marks, you go into the higher tiers. Since duos give you only a 5% bonus, while tier 2 gives you a 33% bonus. So you're much better off doing a higher tier. And of course, you also get better... Also might as well use Forced March. Whee! So you might as well do it at the higher tier and get the better marks rewards. Now, XP is a nice advantage that you can have, since you will get better XP by going against these opponents in a duo mode. Of course, I'm level 95 and I'm no longer earning XP. So if I'm no longer earning XP, that's not an advantage there either. The third one is to help me to finish up some of these lieutenant deeds I have here. And Gondamon is a source for all lieutenants. Every single lieutenant is available here, though, of course, since I'm running this as a duo, I only get the solo duo small fellowship ones. I don't get the ones that require a full group or raid. But it'll help me to get through a good deal of lieutenants, and it will be tedious trying to do it through... it'll be tedious trying to work through full fellowship one solo. That's assuming that I can even do it. I know that there are some players who have no trouble doing raids solo, but it takes them 2 hours from what I hear. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have the patience to do a raid in 2 hours. So yes, you're probably better off. Now, I'm gonna... actually, maybe I will kill one of those. Give him some hope of surviving. Now I better go and help the other guy. Jolstein. Just to make sure that I don't lose a defender this way, since losing defenders is the most likely thing to happen here. Now, I better return here rather than attempt to pick up that chest. I don't consider the encounters to be a key factor here. I have all the encounters done for this particular skirmish. And as I said, marks isn't exactly the reason why you would run it at this particular setting. Now you can see, of course, these fun extra abilities that some of these mobs get, such as the fire pots for the fire lockers, which is appropriate. Since the solo runs, the fire lobbers don't lob fire, they just mimic as if they were doing it and don't do anything. As if they have the behavior to do it, but they don't have the actual fire to do it. Alright, there we go. I might as well use all these. Use these area skills I have. Alright, that ends the first assault. Now let's have a look during this time at what lieutenants I still have. See, Brood Queen. Yeah, Brood Queen will still be up since that was the one that was bugged for so long. Chaos Fiend, Courage Breaker, Crazed, Hate Monger. Daunting Spirit, Saber, Queen, Emissary. See, so far getting all of Enraged Napper. Most of these, okay, Flesh Gorger, because there's in so few skirmishes, and this is south, alright. Leadfoot Brute, Primordial Wrath, Rage of Morgoth. Alright, so the only two I have that I can get here, but I can't get elsewhere, I mean, that I can get in a duo that I can't get in solo, are the Brood Queen, which prior to the release of Rohan, didn't appear above level 60, so it's very hard to get that particular one complete. The other is the Flesh Gorger, because it only appears in 3 skirmishes. And this is actually one of them, so it would be nice if I could see a Flesh Gorger or two and advance that particular one. No, that is not a Flesh Gorger, that is a Daywalker Berserker, which you get plenty of those in solo runs. Now the other two that you get, where you will find the Flesh Gorger, are in the Fort of Luin and in Rescue at Nurskashu. Now, of course, he can still be a pain, no matter what mode he's in. And an elite one is just as painful as the signature one. There we go. Now, what about the order that I'm choosing on this? I'm trying to do these as close to the order that I think that Turbine would be setting them. And I decided that Gondamon would be first. Well, Gondamon could actually be at any time. Well, right. Any time after the prologue. Alright. I think it can be at any time after the prologue for the dwarf, for the Ered Luin side. What I'm saying, it has to be after the prologue, or at least late in the prologue, is because before that time, the elves and dwarves pretty much didn't work all much that well together. And some of the text here makes it sound like that they're in a more cooperative mood than they would have been otherwise. And to me, that implies that this is set after that particular time frame, or at least after. It could be set late in that epic areas, but it's before you wind up going out to meet Strider. So I'm figuring that it's set just before you head out and talk to the people at the pony. That's the way I figure would be a nice, good time to set it, and that means it's before any of the other skirmishes. Alright, here's another one of those. Yeah, might as well pick this up now. Alright, it's hard to keep up which one is which. I guess this is number 6 right here. Brothers of Destruction. Sometimes it's not easy keeping count here. White Flax is attacking one of the wolves. I don't know. Thank you. That horn comes in handy on occasion. I use it sparingly. Since it does have a cooldown of 1 minute, I do use it sparingly, but it's useful to have around for those occasions where I do use it. I don't like micromanaging my soldier. Alright, now, west. Now, forced march is now nice, because in the past, forced marched sapped your power like crazy, but it's nice now that it no longer does that. It just disappears if you enter combat. It doesn't stay around like the Hunter one does, but since it is faster than the Hunter buff, it has to have some disadvantage. Alright, the last one is south. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, as soon as the lieutenant is dead, I am going to summon the wretched falcon. Well, maybe not as soon as the lieutenant is dead. As soon as everything else is dead except for the lieutenant, I will summon the encounter. The reason for that is because the wretched falconer is a real pain, because that shield stays up until he's summoned all his birds. Now, in the past, and I mean pre-Rohan, he took forever between birds to summon them. And this meant that facing him took forever. So therefore, with the time between them, either I've gotten used to it or the time between them has decreased, and so therefore it's not as bad as it was in the past. But I thought this would be a good time to do it, because I'm sure Flax will take care of the birds, I hope. And if Flax doesn't take care of the birds, then I've always had AoEs around. That could help in the matter. No, 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 don't heal, don't heal, don't heal! There we go. Alright, perfect timing. Well, it wasn't perfect timing in me trying to do that during mid. Forgetting to be prepared for the heal. Now I'll try to see if I could get Gatebreaker, even though I'm sure the next round will start before I'm ready there. Maybe I'll be lucky and the next round will be to the west. It is. Alright, good. Nice of you for a change. Alright, this time I'll be prepared to interrupt. There we go. I managed to get both encounters done. So the difficulty seems pretty close to the same as the solo version, it looks like to me, because the duo has the higher quality, but the nerf on there balances that out. It's pretty much all their stats are reduced by 1/3. And what they do is they take the small fellowship template and reduce it by a third. Now, if you want to do a duel without the reduction then, for a little bit more challenge, then you do a small fellowship one. In addition to removing that little decrease in there, it will also sometimes have things start up before you are finished, because there's a timer that will be between each wave. If you don't finish before the timer expires, the next wave will start even if you haven't finished the previous one. So you have to be able to get everything done quickly, and of course that's where the real challenge will lie, is doing it quickly. Now, not all skirmishes have timers that way. But if you do small fellowship, I've been in small fellowship ones, true small fellowships, doing small fellowship skirmishes, and that timer's expired. So you can imagine if you're doing it solo that it will surely also happen in that case. So therefore, I wouldn't recommend on one where you have a large number of defenders that you need to protect. But something like Necromancer's Gate, though, that should be viable since you don't have to worry about defenders dying on you and things like that. Now, small fellowships, they are worth 133% as a 33% bonus. Same thing as doing a tier 2. So I think you'll be better off doing a tier 2 than you would be on trying a small fellowship one. Unless, of course, your main goal was to a little extra challenge. So if you're looking for a little extra challenge or looking for these other lieutenants, then that's another matter to consider. Alright, there we go. West. So therefore, here we are for our first one. As I said, I placed this first because while it can pretty much be at any time, I think you would do it before you start heading out west and taking care of everything else. I've got... Oh, let me take care of that. Alright. Now, looks like to me I've got some pretty poor wound pots. What wound pots do I have? No, those are the level 100 healing drafts. Alright. And I haven't seen level 100 healing drafts anywhere since the last update. So I'm wondering where I got those from. Right, because they do have they do call them Westimate ones, right? Yeah, Westimate. Because they had the healing salves instead, which I was experimenting with salves on some of my other characters to see how well they worked, and looks like if I'm targeting an enemy, it will put it on me, which is nice. So they'll do if I'm soloing. The main question is what would happen if I'm in a group. If I am firing at someone and I've got a friend tanking and I tried using a salve, would it heal me, or would it heal my friend there? And how it is being forwarded, or whatever like that. And, oh, hello. Hey. Why am I? Guess I should be in tanking stance if I want to be able to grab the attention of the berserker. Then I could get some threat there, but I don't have any good ways of getting threat when I'm in DPS stance, of course, except for doing damage. And with the shield up, obviously I'm not doing any damage to it. I'm used to the old system where there are some of the gamuts that give threat and therefore are able to get the attention of the berserker even if the berserker is under the shield. And some old habits die hard. Alright, better go after these first. Make sure Matthew doesn't get into trouble. There we go. More berserkers. Make sure she's after. Yeah, she's after mine. Oh, good. Thank you, Blacks. One of the nice things that they had when they put up the recent update is there's no longer a long animation when you do the first aid. So I can do the first aid quickly without interrupting my flow too much. It's even better that they did it on the stun fix, so usually the damage is done pretty early on stuns. Since most stuns are pretty quick, it's the recovery time that's sticky tar. That's another one of those things they add in Duo. Or I should say they add for the signatures. What is this? Brother of Destruction Knight? I want Flesh Gorgers! Maybe a spider. That way, I can work on my D. And this is the... No, not the only, but because there are two others, but only one of 3 skirmishes that has them, and the timeline series is only going to include the first 2 of them, since the third one, Rescue at Nurse Gashu, is an epic one, and I'm presuming that the epic timeline is self-evident, so therefore I'm not going to do the epic ones in there. Just say this is where the epic fits in, and that's how we're working. Alright, you wonder what the order is. Alright, we of course... Oh, I forgot that they heal. I completely forgot about that little trick of theirs. Is that the captains actually heal when you're in a... when they're signature and above, because they do gain extra abilities at that time. That's one thing that will add a little extra challenge, is that they do gain those extra abilities. Now these seem to be hails, so therefore I got their attention. Oh, okay, the bird's the signature. Alright, there we go. Maybe sometime I will see how well it will work if I tried it at tier 2 in this mode. The tricky thing is, though, as soon as you're bumping up tiers and stuff like that, it's keeping Matthew alive and the rest of your defenders. And resummon flax to get rid of that spring. Alright. Now, traditionally I go after the drake first, but I think I'm less likely to be able to kill the drake before this guy, so in this mode, so therefore I'll do it this way here. Which is the way I normally do it when I'm in a group. Just try to keep the drake out of it. But when I'm solo, I like to go after the drake first, take out the drake, and very often I have the drake down before Matthew and Ignithor start fighting each other. Right, see? Okay. I didn't successfully loot the body there. I was too busy running towards the drake to do that. Alright. Now I'm running this in reckless. Actually, speaking of recklessness, I always forget about that little ability. Clickies. I always forget about clickies when I'm on a warden, since we don't have all that many of them. The idea is that I'm in recklessness back before the release of Helm's Deep. I never ran in recklessness. I always ran in not a single relic. Well, that's the other disadvantage here, is that you don't get the bonus for extra chances of getting relics that you would get in a higher tier, so therefore no relics. Next time we'll go into the second point in our series, the second step in our timeline, stand at Amansul. Until then, this is Pine Leaf Needles. May your shield protect you, and your spear never break.